Welcome. Great to have you here. This is a unique moment, a moment that unites all of us. We all face anxiety and loss. We all see broken systems. We all experience the impact of the climate crisis.
Great to have you here.
This is a unique moment. This is a unique
turning
point, a moment
if we
that
choose
choose
to
to
make
make
it
it
one.
one. This is a moment to
face
reflect,
anxiety and loss.
to learn, to share,
We all
and to
see broken
co-create.
systems.
And I invite you.
We all
I
experience
invite
the
you to
impact of the
contribute.
climate crisis.
Great to have you here.
I
This is a unique
ask you,
moment.
This
This
is
is
a
a unique
turning
moment.
point.
I ask you
A
to
moment that
partner,
choose to make
to
it
fix
one.
broken systems.
This is a moment to
I
reflect
ask you
anxiety
to
and loss.
join
Learn,
the
to
movement
share,
so
and to
everyone can
co-create.
step into their
And I
change-making
invite
power.
you. We all experience
I
the
ask
impact
you
of
to
climate
nominate the
crisis.
next generation of changemakers. And I ask you to share your wisdom, your knowledge, your expertise.
To join the movement so everyone can step into their
I ask you to
change-making
donate
power.
to support the change
to nominate the next generation.
This is our moment to fix the world. This is our moment to
I
contribute,
ask you
to share. Today
your
is the
wisdom,
day.
your
And
knowledge,
you
your
are the
expertise.
ones
To learn, to share, so everyone can
and
step
I
into their
ask you to
change-making
donate
power. We all
to support.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our session dedicated to the topic of the pet-human bond and how the pet-human bond can be a source for good in our societies. My name is Giulia Sergi. I am the program manager at Ashoka Europe. And today, together with me, are amazing people who you will get to know and meet throughout the session. I also would like to introduce Romina Carrillo, the coordinator of this session, who you will see in the chat, typing in the chat and giving you some guidelines. So feel free to write to her in the chat directly if you have any question or issues. I have the privilege today of moderating our next hour together, and I'm really looking forward for you to meet the amazing social entrepreneurs that are using the power of the bond between humans and pets to address key social problems in our societies. Their names are Marie Yates, founder of Canine Perspective, and Johan Sever, president of Gamel Plan. You will hear and get inspired by their projects in the first part of this session. Together with them are also brilliant business leaders from Purina, who is Ashoka's partner in this program. They are really courageous people who embarked on this journey of being change makers themselves, of using their skills and their expertise to help build more just and fair societies. So please also welcome Ben Werner, country manager of Nestlé Purina Ireland, Stéphane Ribeil, responsible of data and e-acquisition of Purina, Vishal Krishna, head of e-commerce and D2C, and Nicola Lipomani, marketing manager in Purina. You can see all the names of these speakers in your window in the section description. With these business leaders, we will open a panel debate on how businesses and social entrepreneurs can collaborate to achieve larger and longer lasting social change using the human-pet bond as a source for good. But now please join me in welcoming two amazing women who are part of the team who made this collaboration possible. Arianna De Mario, Ashoka Strategic Global Partnerships, and Karen Schmeider, Corporate Communications and Sustainability Director of the EMENA region for Purina. They will explain to us why Ashoka and Purina decided to embark on this journey together and working in this field. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Arianna on this virtual stage. Welcome, Arianna.
Thank you, Giulia, and hello, everyone. Welcome to this session. So Ashoka and Purina EMENA partner since 2017 to expose and elevate the power of the pet-human bond for social impact. So let me tell you first how this collaboration first came together. So historically, Ashoka hasn't been much active on this topic, having elected only few fellows working on the pet-human bond specifically. An example is Michelle Lemma for community veterinary outreach, who started a model of free mobile clinic in Canada, both for pets and their homeless owners to access healthcare services. Another example is Nalinika Obeyezekere from Pet Vet Clinic, who launched Sri Lanka's first multi-doctor veterinary practice and uses a portion of the profits to subsidize free treatment for street animals and promote animal safety awareness. We also have projects such as Apopo from fellow Bart Vitians and Equinophoria from fellow Elan Viruega that leverage the power of this bond. I actually think I saw representatives of these projects among the attendees. So if you are there, please feel free to share more about your work in the chat. We will love to learn about it. So going back to the partnership. For Ashoka, the collaboration with Purina was an opportunity to identify innovative approaches to foster the health and well-being of society through the power of the pet-human bond. When starting to work with Purina, together we set the goal to find more social entrepreneurs in this specific sector. And Purina, obviously being a company fully dedicated to improving the lives of pets and people who love them, was the best possible partner for this quest. We will hear shortly from Kerstin Schmeiduch about Purina's work on the topic. So what did we do together? In a first phase of the partnership, we collected insights from our networks on social innovation in the field of the pet-human bond, interviewing social entrepreneurs and other stakeholders in the field and mapping opportunities for social impact. We drew a picture of how the pet-human bond is highly relevant to broader areas of social impact, such as health, well-being, inclusivity, and education. And with these insights, we launched the Better with Pets Prize in search for social entrepreneurs addressing these topics. The second and latest edition of the Better with Pets Prize happened earlier this year and was open both to applicants with piloted initiatives and to idea stage initiatives from young change makers between 18 and 25 years old. So today we will hear from some of the finalists from the two editions of the prize that we have run so far, and about their powerful initiatives. But we also want to hear from the audience, as I know we have attendees who work on this topic, and it would be really great if you could share about your projects as initiatives. So please use the chat in Swapcar to introduce yourselves and your work. Yeah, just to conclude, this session is all about exposing the power of the pet-human bond to benefit society as a whole. So let's share ideas on how we can work together to leverage it. Thank you, everyone. Back to you, Julia.
Thank you very much, Arianna. And yes, please, everyone, I see the chat already going very lively, so please continue and make yourself heard. Kerstin, welcome with us today. I would like to pass the word to you for your introduction from Purina. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Ari, and a very warm welcome as well from my side on behalf of Purina. Super excited to be here. We just discussed in the preparation of the session how much we miss as well to feel the vibration that we felt last time on the Ashoka conference. So hopefully we can replicate that by animating the chat, by having a lot of questions and a lot of participation during the session and as well afterwards. So really delighted to be here and participate. As you might have heard already from Ari, we're a very strong purpose-driven company, and our purpose is really how we can create richer lives for pets and people who love them. And one way how we express that is through our Better with Pets prize, where we invite actually social innovators to help us address societal issues. They're very close usually at the tension points of the societal issues. So that is where we want to look for collaboration in order to help addressing those. I think we have all experienced, or some of us, during the COVID crisis, the power of the pet-human bond, a greater recognition and as well appreciation for what pets can actually do for us and what we can do for pets. So they have been a source of connection, comfort, joy, and as well during times of isolation for children, working parents, and not to forget as well those who are a little bit more vulnerable, like the homeless people. So really reminding us that pets and people are better together, especially as well in difficult moments, and such as we are facing right now. So part of that collaboration with our social innovators and Ashoka is really looking for the strengths in collaboration to address system challenges. And that is where we see our partnership as well with Ashoka and how we have developed it over the past years, as Ari was just explaining. So how can we really address with social innovation and creative solutions? And you're going to hear more about that from our fantastic social innovators, society's problems, right? And I think altogether, there's really a great opportunity to make change happen and build as well support solutions to really reshape our post-COVID-19 future. So when we look at Purina and in the business, we work, of course, on innovation, on product, business model innovation, on a lot of business ideas. And we have quite a good understanding how you bring products actually or other business models to life from the beginning to the end. But it's as well great to learn from social innovators in a startup how to be more agile, how we can actually help them to scale up and learn new skills. And I think this is what we are trying to do as well with the Pet with Pets Prize and our social innovators. So identify opportunities, try to support them, and help to scale up together with the help and the partnership with Ashoka. So that is what ultimately we're trying to do. We had fantastic responses. You can see it on the slide of the screen from many countries as well, for the first time as well, evolving to Middle East and North Africa to include those markets. So really absolutely fantastic. And I'm super excited that we have the time together today to share very powerful projects that you're going to hear about very shortly, that we expect to create positive change in society. So I'm super looking forward to hear more about the journey and discuss how we can build this community and support change makers to really elevate our fantastic superpower that we have, which is the positive impact of the pet-human bond in society. So thank you very much, and very excited to be part of that session with all of you.
Thank you so much, Kirsten. And I love your invitation of connecting to our superpower of being change makers here today. So I really invite everyone listening to do so. So it's now time to meet the two impactful social entrepreneurs that we have invited here today. If you are listening and you're wondering what is a social entrepreneur in the first place, we at Ashoka believe, and Purina really bought into this vision with us, that social entrepreneurs are people who experienced or saw a social problem around them, and they really made it a mission in their life to solve it. They do so by using their creativity, their skills, and surrounding them with collaborators coming from all different fields who help them scale up their solution and create even bigger impact. So their ultimate aim is to create solutions that are systemic, that tackle the root causes of the social problems and not only stop at fixing the symptoms of the problem that we see in our everyday life. Marie Yates and Johan Sever were selected among hundreds of social entrepreneurs working on this field to participate in this program led by Purina and Ashoka. We are really happy to have them here today. So I would like to welcome on stage Marie Yates, founder of Canine Perspective, which provides and helps to develop emotional self-care and resilience for survivors of sexual violence, thanks to rescue dogs. So they really offer a safe place for survivors to learn with and from dogs. Marie, welcome to this session. Please tell us more about your solution and show us how the pet-human bond can really be life-changing.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me here today. So I'm Marie, I'm from Canine Perspective CIC, and we've been around since 2014, working with survivors of rape and sexual violence with our canine co-tutors. So we work with genuine rescue dogs who are looking for a home, and they come and co-tutor with us. So it's not therapy, it's therapeutic, and we couldn't do it without the dogs, and I will explain why. So to start with, we're looking at the numbers. 20% of women, 4% of men in the UK alone have experienced sexual violence, and 1 in 20 children. So the numbers speak for themselves, and in reality, we don't know the numbers, and you don't need me to tell you of the myriad of reasons why that is the case. So it's been our mission since 2014 to come up with a way that we can help survivors, and we can look at not only helping a system of recovery, but more than that, about being the best version of yourself that you can be, the person you always wanted to be, regardless of anything that's happened. And we've done that, and we've grown. And I'm just going to take you back to 2018 for a second. That was mentioned. I was part of the, just back a second, sorry. Thank you. Part of the Better with Pets prize. This is my favourite photo from that event. We always say we'll trust the dogs, and in this case my pitch might not have been quite as fabulous as I thought it was, judging by the response here. But I was pitching and I was talking about our Canine Hope programme, where we're physically in a room with survivors and a rescue dog. The pitch went well, I thought, and in the midst of the questions that I was being asked by the panel, I was asked one question in particular that has really stayed with me, because everything we had done up until this point has been about working with survivors. So after the event, when they're ready and when they're looking forward again. And one of the judges said to me, rightly so, but wouldn't it be better to just stop the abuse? Now, I was quite floored by that, because obviously the answer is yes. That's a given. But I had no idea how I would go about doing that. I had no idea really if that was my place, or if that was something that I had the skills to do. And over the last couple of years, we've carried on doing what we've always done. We've carried on working with survivors. We've carried on growing what we've been doing. And it's still very much been about direct delivery, but there's been this unanswered question that has stayed with me. Because of course, the system change that needs to happen comes way before the element that we're doing at the moment and have been doing, which is working with survivors. So that brings us to our solution. So we have, can we go on one? Thank you. So what we have, thank you very much. We have Canine Hope, which is at the heart of everything we do. That is our programme with direct delivery, and with permission, this is one of the many photos we have that I just love. The dog comes with me. The dog is very much a co-tutor, and it's the dog that brings the magic. So we're in a room, genuine rescue dog. This is Cody, now rehomed and no doubt on his forever sofa right now. And we've done a research study. So we've been part of a social impact programme that has proven that we can change behaviour both in survivors and in dogs through working together. They help each other, and that isn't going anywhere, because regardless of the bigger picture, I suppose I'm not naive enough to know that this can go away just yet, unfortunately. And what we're doing is we're utilising the stories of the dogs. Without the dog, we can't do what we do, and I know this because I've tried. I'll probably go into that a little bit later on when we talk about how we use those stories. But the magic of another being in that room with us, we're talking about them, about how they've been let down by humans. We're not talking about our own stories, and we can also see that the dog's really okay. The dog's doing fine. And the process through which they learn is something that we explore in depth. But again, we're talking about them. And then the parallels come back to the survivor, and they draw their own conclusions. Now, that works. We know that works. We've proven that works. But surely there has to be more if I'm going to answer the question that was posed in 2018. And to do that, this is what I've been doing throughout this programme. So with the team of people I've been working with, we've been looking at systemic change, and there are a number of ways that we could have approached this. There are a number of systems in play when we look at how why there's violence in the first place, but also the knock-on effect and everything that surrounds that. So what if we could do something that embeds itself into the education system? A series of programs that utilize the stories, that share those messages in a way that hasn't really been used before, drawing parallels that can enable learning in a brand new way. So what we're doing is we're talking about resilience, power imbalance, self-advocacy, all things that survivors need to know about, all things that young people need to know about. But what's interesting with this is that there are also things that potential perpetrators need to know about. I read out the statistics at the start, and for some who are not maybe not au fait with this world, they seem quite large, but we know they're bigger than this. And for every survivor, for every one of those 1 in 20 young people, there's a perpetrator. And those numbers are certainly more terrifying, I believe. So what if we could start to look at teaching how to manage those emotions, how to look at your own power and the imbalance that could come from that, and the self-advocacy in a way that brings about change in both elements of that sphere. Now, if we were to increase an open dialogue through this education system, what we're doing is we're looking at disclosure mechanisms in a brand new way. Authentic and representative leadership comes from that. And I think that right now, there's never been more of a need for representative leadership. So I can tell you from experience that this is something that's often talked about as a taboo subject. We shouldn't talk about these things. Not talking about it is 100 times more terrifying than talking about it. And for every one of those 1 in 20 young people, I can guarantee that to you. So what if there was a way? Now, with the help of the team at Purina, we have 3 ways that we're going to start creating that change and making that difference. And through the Scaling Social Impact program, it's made me think completely differently, to the point where I think I am starting to be able to answer that question. So there are 3 cogs to this. There's inspiring curiosity. If we're all right to move on again, that would be brilliant. Thank you very much. Inspiring creativity and inspiring a movement. And at this point, I'd just like to introduce you to Bruno, who might be mentioned a little bit later on. So inspiring a movement, because, go big or go home, right? What we would love to do is create a community of practice where we're using the ways in which we teach and the ways in which we enable change, both in humans and in dogs. And we start sharing that information. We bring educators together and leaders together so that they can learn these methods and they can share their own with us, and we can grow and grow and grow exponentially until this is a commonly known way of teaching. We've proven it works. We need more to be able to really up our game, which brings us to the inspiring curiosity element. That's where all of the research comes in. Like I've said, we've got a small scale social impact report that has brought us this far, and we couldn't have done a lot of what we've done without it. But now we're looking at infiltrating an education system, potentially lobbying for inclusion in the curriculum, looking at sharing our information and partnering with existing people who are working both in PSHE and the natural ways in which this would fit into the curriculum. But on a much wider scale, this could be a huge part of the way in which we learn. And to do that, we need to prove this works. So we need to be able to walk in and talk to educators in a way that makes sense to them, and they understand, rightly so, the value of research. And we have inspiring creativity in the mix, and that is all of our resources. We've started this already. We have a children's book for 5-6-year-olds, and that has made a huge difference in the way that storytelling, the partnering with dogs, and the partnering of the relationships that we have with animals helps to shape our behavior. Everything comes back to a Mahatma Gandhi quote for me, and that's the moral compass of our nation, the way we're judged. We look at the way we treat animals. There's an enormous amount of research, especially around young people, on where abuse can start, and that starts with animals quite often. So all of this comes into play to not just help survivors later on in their lives as they're ready to make tangible change, but looking at that huge impact that we could have right across education, both for potential perpetrators, for young people experiencing abuse, and for people who know that there's more, know that there's a difference that they can make in the world and create representative leadership. None of this is possible without the dogs. Thank you.
Marie, thank you so much. This was really inspiring, and it's already showing us and all of us listening how really the pet-human bond and this type of work is really an entry door and a tool to address some very, very urgent and crucial social issues. So thank you so much for inspiring us. Johan Sever is also president of Gamel Plan, is also addressing very important social issue that we all see around us every day, that of homeless people. Johan, you're working with homeless pet owners to take care and keep their pets while also working on their successful reintegration. Can you tell us more about your project and how you're solving this crucial social issue that we all know about? Thank you.
Yes, with pleasure, Julia. Thank you very much. So I have just, So welcome. My name is Johan Sever, and I created Gamel Plan 12 years ago. So Gamel Plan help homeless people to succeed the way back to society with their pets. So I would like to introduce you first, Adele, with her two dogs, Apache and Kita, with a very good example of what I'm going to show you. She was a multi-addict, marginalized person. She experienced family rupture when she was just a teenager. She faced daily with violence. She was rough sleeping in very dirty places, and she tried to rescue herself with alcohol and drugs. So Adele was considered by professionals and by herself too as lost, but she has two dogs, and it was meaning something for us. So before to introduce you the problem and the solution we're addressing, let me explain you the context. So today, about 300,000 homeless people in France, according to the Abbé Pierre Foundation, are homeless. Homelessness is not a choice. It's often a consequence, personal or social accident, unemployment, family ruptures, addictions, mental illness, and many other reasons. Every day, homeless people have to cope with many challenges in order to survive, such as finding a safe place to sleep, finding food, having a shower, care themselves, protect themselves from any danger, fighting loneliness, deal with addictions, temptations, finding money, begging, keep to being linked to society, like listening radio, charging cell phone, or receive mails. So as you can understand, the way back to inclusion is very more challenging for them. To get the ID paper, social paper updated, healthcare or welfare, being healthy, cure addiction, making projects for the future, finding a work or finding a home. Hopefully, many social services and charities help them to succeed with those challenges, such as the emergency night shelters, led by the 115 social emergency number in France, the housing first programs, hospitals, addiction specialists like the CARID, for example, charities or social soups that provide food, clothing, self-care products, essentials, administration as well, with social services, working rehabilitation centers, social housing program, and so on and so forth. So you might wonder why, despite all of this, homelessness is still a major problem in many cities. Because the first actor of inclusion, it is the homeless person himself. We cannot help someone who doesn't want to. You can force anyone to go in a shelter, to update his paper, to cure an addiction, or to find a home or work. So one of the main obstacles that the social services network is facing today is certainly the system distrust and a lack of self-confidence from the homeless people. Another misunderstood problem is the pet ownership. Around 25% of homeless people own pets. Many of them have a pet to avoid loneliness, but some of them will have also some finding a pet a faithful friend to protect them, to keep them warm, to console their grief, or simply to give them some love. So in one hand, having a pet is a responsibility. The homeless owner has thus many things to think about. The pet needs, such as walking, playing, education, training, the pet health as well, preventative treatment, but also emergency cares, feeding the pet properly, caring the pets, washing him, buying essentials, and so on. So having a pet is having more things to think about and more challenges to deal daily with. So the first consequence is that the pet needs are satisfied before the human needs. Homeless people just forget themselves in order to think to their pet first. The second consequence of this is that pets attract almost all the resources. Even if having a pet is increasing the incomes during begging, taking care of a pet could be very expensive. That will anyway compromise any projects, such as buying food, treatment, essential products, or even renting a home. Having a pet cannibalizes the other projects. The third consequence, having a pet is closing doors. The social services networks do not care about pets. Shelters and administration are closed to pet owners. Pets are not allowed. Food is just for humans. Sometimes pet food is difficult to find. It's not possible even to see a doctor if nobody can take care of the pet. So instead of being a support for them, dogs are perceived as a problem and become a source of exclusion and marginalization. So the problem is increased. So you might wonder why homeless people are willing to have pets. The answer is very simple. The pet-human bonds. The benefit of pet-human bonds outweigh completely all disadvantages of the pet ownership. Because pets love unconditionally, trust blindly, look without any judgment, is a very good psychological support, make a link to the society, give a sense of responsibility, is someone they can be proud of, is a source of recognition, and so many reasons more. That's the reason why Gamel Plan exists. We focus on the benefits of pet-human bonds to help the homeless get a second chance in life. In one hand, we help them concretely, taking care of their pets with dignity. We provide them with food, essential products to facilitate the daily life. We provide vet care to every pet at any time. We keep and take care of the pets when the owner needs it, especially to go to hospital or job interviews, for example. But we are not just fooding or caring pets. For us, the pet is an entry door to go further in the other issues. Thanks to the pet, we create a mutual trust and we boost the self-confidence. We can walk through the next issue, the next topic. You can click, please. Yeah. So on the other hand, we encourage shelters, administration, and social workers to adopt pet-friendly policies so that homeless people can access with their pet and find help together. We will provide the network with material, expertise, training, advice, pet knowledge, as much as we can do. Our social impact is direct, and the benefit of the pet-human bond increased significantly. So we create self-esteem, self-motivation, confidence, desire to succeed, determination to reach the inclusion back to society. As I said previously, the reintegration success is first due to the person himself, and then, and only then, to the entire social network in a teamwork. Gamel Plan is just a facilitator in this process. Our solution could be summarized as 4 poses to stand up, which is our leitmotif. We take advantage of the pets to help the owner standing up, and then we motivate him to walk by himself with support from all social services. So to conclude, let me give you some news from Adele. Nowadays, Adele is living in a small home with a garden for her 2 dogs. She's linked again with her family. She has no more addictions, even alcohol. She got a driving license and bought a second-hand truck, and she's now working nearby old people. If you meet Adele today in the street, you won't even expect where she's coming from and what she has been through. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Johan. Thank you for another inspiring pitch and project. We are reading so many messages in the chat of people really getting inspired by what you do. They share what an amazing inspiration you are, how your job is really important, and some of them are getting really emotional. Thank you so much. So we would like now to open a bit of a panel discussion with the other guests that we have here to continue addressing this question, which is the main question of this panel. So how can the pet-human bond be a force for good and for social entrepreneurship? We have included 4 employees that have worked with the two projects that you have just heard. To really rethink a bit their model, to deep dive into their impact strategy. They together have gone through what we call the Scaling Social Impact Program, and which was a program by Ashoka and Purina aimed at bringing together business leaders from Purina and social entrepreneurs to collaborate to create more impactful strategies for these social innovators using the pet-human bond as a good as a source of good. They spent together 3 months online. They really worked deep dive into their strategies. These employees have really brought their expertise and their skills to scale social impact. So let's start the discussion, and I invite the audience who is following us on Swapcard to use the chat to ask any question. You can also use the question tab at the very top of your chat box. So let's start the discussion with the key question. And again, I would like the social entrepreneurs to open the panel discussion. So Johan, let's start with you this time. In one sentence, in an ideal world, what would be the role of the pet-human bond, and how can it really be contributing to systemic change in our society?
Well, the bond opens the discussion and the relationship. There is no pity. We are just coming to give some food for the pets, and then we discuss about other topics, and we have a role of advisor where they can go, where are the pet-friendly places. So we act as an enabler for them to get access to other public health services, honor social services. So in the ideal world, the pet-human bond will be a player of inclusion and will contribute to change the communities so that the pet has a place in it.
Thank you, Johan. Marie, would you like to add your perspective?
Yeah, I obviously completely agree. It's for us. It's also about the shared experience as well, and that's where there's something incredibly magical. I will never be able to do this in one sentence, so I will just go for the fact that it's shared experience all the way.
Thank you, Marie. So we're really seeing how this shared experience is really a tool towards an enabler, as Johan said, of big social impact. So now the next question comes quite natural, maybe also for the people listening. Why Purina? How can such a big company like Purina really contribute to this systemic change? You're already doing it. That's why I'm asking this question. And also how such a partnership with Ashoka like this one is contributing to it. So Ben Warner, you were the thought partner of Marie in this process. So you worked a little bit with Marie to strengthen her strategy. What are your insights on the role of Purina and your role as a business leader in this? Ben, unfortunately, we don't hear you. So I will move to the next question. Okay.
Am I here? Sorry.
You're back.
just first of all, thanks to Marie and Johan. It's incredibly inspiring to hear from them, and it's been really inspiring to be working with Marie. I suppose I see my role as to support our searching questions and to try and help shape the journey for Marie and challenge where I can to make sure that there's a clear plan in place, but equally to try and connect Marie with the areas of expertise in the Nestle organization, to try and see how we can drive social change, but also to help as far as we possibly can. In terms of my insights, I suppose the first piece is, Kirsten talked at the beginning about us believing pets and people are better together. And we have a chance to be a really strong purpose-driven company. But it's quite easy as leaders in a company the size of Nestle to be slightly disconnected from what's going on with pets and people in society at times, and we try and stay as close to that as we can. But working through the Purina Prize and with Ashoka, it allows us to really try and push beyond and understand what's going on in society beyond just the products and services that we provide. So it allows us to really leverage the pet-human bond beyond just those feeding moments. And actually, when I talk to my team internally about working with Marie and what we're doing, it's incredibly motivating for them to see Purina trying to help these fantastic social entrepreneurs and incredible change makers in society. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, most of the time you see big organizations trying to help in society by funding projects. But ultimately that can only go so far, because the P&L can only sustain so much investment. And actually what's clear here is that we can really scale the support and the impact on society by using the massive expertise in a huge organization. And that can go far beyond any financial support that we can give. So I think that's a really important point. And then finally, working and hearing from people who have dedicated themselves to solving social issues has shown me that actually by supporting them, we can go much further beyond just being a successful organization for shareholders. We really can have a benefit in society and be a force for good. And also it's given me a lot more empathy, I think, as a leader in terms of what these wonderful people are doing, and how we need to think more and more and more as a big organization about really making a change in society and being a force for good in the communities we're in. So the world will expect more of big companies. It has been expecting more for the last few years. We need to have a social conscience. We need to work hard to have an impact on society. And that demand will only get greater, I think, as the years go on. So it really has been a privilege to be part of it. And yeah, that's my thoughts.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much. Very powerful thought. Nicola Lipomani, you were also a thought partner for Gamel Plan in your case. What was your experience? What would you like to add to what Ben shared?
Yes, I think Ben has already explained a lot of things. I think that first of all, it is a mutual learning between Purina and Social Innovator. I think for me it was a great experience to be exposed to Johan and Gamel Plan. Was a huge learning curve to better understand his work, the structure, and the challenge that he is facing, the complexity of this association and volunteering world, with the challenge to build a trust and a reputation that is fundamental to have a role in social environment and to be a system changer. So as Purina, my role was more to give an external vision to his project, to discuss, to challenge where is possible, because I think that it's already doing a really great job, we have seen. But it's more maybe to help to think to how to go further and make his organization evolving in medium term to respond to the challenge that he's facing. Also discussing about training, digitalizing tool, things that can help to go beyond. And also to think about a long-term vision to protect his brand reputation, to get more sustainable funding. I think that's an area of similar expertise where we can support him. I think that the time I spent with Joan discussing it to understand how he was working on that, how he's run it in the last 12 years was really, for me, inspiring to see the passion and how the bonding and it's something that really can inspire and can give us the possibility to work at social level and to have an impact.
Thank you, Nicola. So, Johan, it's natural to go back to you after what Nicola shared. Would you like to add anything on what he shared about your project? What are the main challenges you're currently facing that you would like to share with the audience, and how have we been supporting you?
Yeah, as Nicola said, we're facing a lot of challenges. Association managing volunteers is not so easy as it seems to be. Actually, our main challenges are time and therefore fundings. Gamel Plan is a very heavy time investment that requires to ensure a high standard, because we really want to help people. We cannot improvise. So that's why we want to provide a high quality training to all the volunteers all around France. It's very important to be able to scale up and to be a force for good.
Thank you, Johan. Stefan, you were an advisor of the process, so you really worked with Johan every 2 weeks for 3 months. How have you been supporting this project? What would you say to the business leaders listening today? You're muted, Stefan. Someone just wrote in the chat, that's the most common sentence of 2020. Sorry, I was muted.
It's okay. Good morning, everyone. So just first of all, to tell you, when your management asked us to participate to the program, we were very interested and excited because it was a way for us to make and to help the change in the society. So we discussed a lot with Johan to understand his problematic. And while we are learning a lot from the program, with my colleague, it was important to respond to the urgent needs from Johan and leverage our expertise. So we discussed about the needs of Gamel Plan, and we discussed about how our skills and our knowledge could help the organization. As Johan explained you before, having a pet for homeless pet owners closed the door to the social institute. So for the now, we are helping him to build a communication plan to convince health authority to support the development of Gamel Plan in other cities. Our real objective is to change the mentality. It was important for us to give him an operational solution. And moreover, we have a second project is to build a guide for the homeless pet owners to identify the pet-friendly structure that can help them. And we hope that this experience will help Johan in the future and in the long term to develop Gamel Plan.
Thank you so much. So now to close this panel session, let's go back to Marie. I would like to ask you a similar question. What is your experience as a social entrepreneur, particularly in these times of crisis? What are your main challenges, and how is Purina supporting you?
So our main challenges are practical. You know, we used to drive around the country delivering sessions all over the place, and that's obviously off at the moment. And we're in a position where we can't replicate that online. It's not like you can just host it online and do it differently. And what the team have enabled me to do is think about it on a much bigger scale, obviously with the system change, but also give me the space to figure it out. So they've been asking questions, challenging, really making me think. And the opportunity to do that as a social entrepreneur, as I'm sure lots of people here will agree with, is you don't often get that opportunity. It's quite an isolating existence, and you're doing things on your own, you're responding, and you're just going for it as much as you can. But that's one of the main things, along with the expertise and wisdom that the team has given me, and it's completely transformed how we'll be moving forward from 2021.
Thank you, Marie, for sharing. So Vishal, last but not least, you were Marie's advisor in this process. How have you been supporting Marie, and how did you leverage your business skills to support a social cause?
Yeah, I think the collaboration's been fantastic, actually. And Marie's obviously, as you've heard, she's an amazing character. She's got a lot of passion behind the project, and there's a lot to go after. So our biggest challenge really is to make sure that we focus on the right areas. We help Marie in the best way possible, because obviously it's quite a short period of time, and we meet every 2 weeks. We've got a WhatsApp group, and we've used another platform called Mural to really share and focusing on the ideas. We followed the method of the program as well, and we've used several different tools to get there. But the biggest thing for us, and it's been, it's not just me, it's several others in the team as well. It's been a massive team effort, and most of it's about just listening. So, as you guys have heard, there's a lot of different stories and a lot of different things that go behind it. But if we listen to it and then offer an objective view on, maybe you want to focus on this area, tell us a bit more about this one. It really did matter, and it focused the discussion on what really matters to, at the end, K9 perspective, to Marie and to the investors. And from our side, what we really did is to help with the questioning, to guide it in the right direction, and all the other advisors bring their own kind of perspectives in as well, from a brand perspective and from a Purina perspective. And then thinking about leadership as well, I know Ben mentioned this as well, it really makes you reflect and think about yourself as a leader. To actually be part of something like this, it almost makes you wish that there's just more time to do more, because there's just so much to go after. And it just gives you a different sense as giving back to the community, giving back something to an external, really good cause like what Marie's leading. It just gives you a different sense of purpose of coming to work. So yeah, fantastic experience.
Thank you, Vishal. Very glad to hear, and I hope all the people listening are also inspired to take this sort of action as business leaders as well, and not just as social entrepreneurs. So thank you everyone for joining this panel. We have heard some great insights on the opportunity that the pet-human bond really has to contribute to society, and really tackling urgent societal issues. We also saw how this is becoming even more relevant now during this COVID crisis, and these solutions can really show us the way forward in living in the post-COVID or the post-emergency world, like some of these initiatives. We also saw how the pet-human bond can be an enabler and an entry point to other sectors, other fields. And we also need to see how we can leverage all the different stakeholders working in a field to work together and collaborate for systemic change, like Purina and these amazing business leaders have been doing with the social entrepreneurs. So everyone can really support social entrepreneurs. Everyone can provide the resource or expertise to be active change makers. I think we have time for one question from the audience. I saw there is a really live chat, and I just want to tell everyone that we will follow up with the questions, and you can also send your specific questions to the social entrepreneurs directly to them. If you scroll down this window, you see the speakers, and you can open a chat box with the speaker. So there is a question around how can such a commitment from a big company like Purina and this action really inspire also other companies and other businesses to do the same and support social entrepreneurs. So I would open the floor actually, anyone who would like to answer this from Purina. I will give you a second, or even the social entrepreneurs. If you have a call to action for the companies out there, what would that be?
I can go first. I think the biggest benefit for me, and as I mentioned, is somewhat intangible. So I think Ben mentioned something about P&Ls and just looking at your financial benefit of doing something like this. But there's also a really intangible benefit. So if I look at the team, us that worked with Marie, I think we got so much out of it. Just the sense of giving, the force for good, all the stuff that our business is really passionate about. It gives us a chance to actually really get involved at the grassroots level. And I think the benefit for that within the community, in the organization, is far more than what it looks like on paper. So I think, in a word, it would be to look beyond the numbers and look beyond the kind of benefits that a partnership like this might provide, and look at the intangible kind of social benefits within the internal community. I think that far outweighs anything.
Thank you, Vishal. And Marie, you also wanted to add something.
It's just something that's come up since I first got involved in 2018 with Purina. And I think sometimes as social entrepreneurs, there can almost be a little bit of cynicism about larger companies and being involved with larger companies. But when you're part of something, it's not a company, it's individuals who really care. And I think when you're just communicating at that level and you're sharing an idea and somebody is sharing back and helping that grow, all of that cynicism just disappears, and it's just individuals trying to make a difference, and that's huge. That's been a massive learning curve for me.
Thank you. So one last question from the audience is for Joanne Marie about the link between the pet-human bond and the health field. There are some specific questions, but please take it as you like. Specifically about if you see yourself involved in the One Health model, and if you personally connect to this model, or in general, how you will connect your topic to the health sector.
I think there is many links between the health sector and the pet-human bonds. On what we're concerned with homeless people, we face a lot of mental illness. And the people in the street used to say that the street is making you silly, and having a pet is just moving you out from those loneliness would just turn your head. So it's very important to have a rescue, a mental rescue, and the pet is very useful in this. In the other hand, it's become a problem too, because some of homeless people refuse just to leave the pet alone, and thus refuse to go to cure themselves, to take a treatment, or go for a surgery, for example. And sometimes we need to build this trust in order to take the pet with us so that he can find the treatment. And health is the first things we need to have to be able to find a rescue, to get inclusion. Addictions. If you're not healthy, you cannot work, you cannot. So it's the beginning of everything. So the pet is very useful for this way.
Thank you, Johan. Thank you, everyone. Once again, we are 1 minute left, and there are many other sessions that I'm sure you all want to visit, and we encourage you to. And please feel free to reach out to the individual speakers directly through the swap card function. And also don't forget to check out the Purina booth at the Exhibition Center on Swapcar, where you can find all the videos from all the social entrepreneurs of this program. And I think Kirsten wanted to say, saw you want to say one last word. So please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the question on One Health was actually the perfect conclusion, right? In the sense that we have seen that the health of people, the health of animals and pets, and the planet is closely connected, right? So I think if we get all of that right, what we have seen this year in the course of the year with all the changes, I think we are on a good track, and it's wonderful to have our social entrepreneurs being part of that journey. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.